Hey guys, welcome to the 4th episode of Jatco's 5-minute bedtime stories. Today, I'll be continuing Guardians of the Galaxy, Chapter 1. He tried to activate it, but it spluttered and turned itself off. He shook it and tapped it. It popped back to life, shooting a bright field of blue light against the rain. The pilot swept the cone back and forth across the ruins. A dozen blue pinpoints glowed along the devastated city edge. Then a holo mapping device fed those dots into its processor and created a hologram of what the city had looked like during its last few days before the planet had destroyed it. Grainy projections of streets and buildings hung in the air, glowing red, ghosts of this great city now centuries gone. In front of the pilot snaked a road that led directly to the building near the edge of the hologram projection. On the building, a tracking beacon lit up. It looked like a target, and that's exactly what it was, the target of an expedition. The pilot followed the road, passing through a hologram ghost of merged citizens. People went about their business. A little girl played with her dog. The pilot was a little surprised to learn that merged inhabitants had been human. He reached the ruined building and stepped inside, getting out of the rain. The wind still blew, but not as nearly hard in an enclosed space. Part of the roof had fallen in, and shafts of dim light shone down into the rumble-strewn floor. The interior of the building was large, with 30-foot ceilings and pillars supporting them. The pilot looked over the scene, and when he seemed satisfied that he was safe, he touched the side of his mask. With a crack, it disappeared, leaving only an earpiece, and Peter Quill got down into business. The first thing he did was put on his headphones and crank up Awesome Mixtape Volume 1. He couldn't do anything without his music. Then he started to tap one foot, and pretty soon he was dancing, grooving his way through the ruins and into an open plaza beyond. The rain had stopped, and he kept jamming on, moving across the open plaza to a familiar rhythms of songs that he kept him company for 26 years. He splashed through the mud puddles, chased away all smacks of aggressive little lizard snake animals, and reached the edge of the huge crack in the ground. Still keeping the rhythm, he fired up the rockets in his boots and spanned the gap in a long rocket assist step. On the other side, he became sealed door. He inserted a key into the lock, which spun and squealed. The door opened, revealing a smaller chamber with glowing blue continent tube sitting on the pedestal at its center. He looked at the transparent globe out of his coat pocket. When he shook it, bright light glowed from within, illuminating the room. He was alone. Good. He set his globe down and unhooked a triangular metal device from his belt. In the years since he was abducted from Earth, Peter had seen a lot. He'd seen a planet made of fire with a moon made of ice. He'd seen an army of shape-shifting aliens attack a space whale. He watched as the twin suns set superior together. It had been a pretty amazing couple of decades. He worked his way through the ranks of Ravager outlaw ship that picked him up. He had started as a space equivalent of a deckhand and risen all the way to being his captain's second in command. It was a pretty good life. Lots of adventure, always something new to see and do. But in all these years, there was one thing he'd never seen. He'd never been rich. If things worked out here in the ruins of an ancient merged temple, that would change. Inside, the blue glowing continent filled with metallic orbs. Its service cup in a complex pattern. Peter had done a little research, well, more than a little, on his item, and although he didn't know exactly what it is, he knew a couple of things about. 1. The broker would pay him lots of money for it. 2. It was well protected. The continent field would pretty much disintegrate anything that touched it from the outside. And he didn't know how to turn it off, so he flipped the problem on his head and decided if he couldn't reach in and get it, he would just have to convince the orb to come out on its own.